what it is, man. Detroit versus everybody, man. Detroit, we rep the hardest, man. We gain the hardest. You know what it is, man. Detroit, CJ, holla at your boy when we get home.
Tell a story what went on with Terence, Crawford, and Gary Russell. So I'm gonna put it to you like this, right? Keep in mind, y'all, we 18, 19 years old. We at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. You know what I'm saying? So we all, keep in mind, we all elite fighters, number one amateurs in the, United States. So we sparring and shit. You know, me and Gary sparring. I fought at this time. I was fighting 125 pounds. Gary Russell was fighting 119 pounds. Rashid Warren, he was fighting 112 pounds. So how they'll do it is that Rashid Warren had to spar with me and Gary Russell. He couldn't spar with the 106 pound or the 112 pound. He had to spar with us because that motherfucker was good like that. So, of course, I had to spar with Gary. I sparred with Gary Russell first. Then they'll take Gary Russell out and put Rashid in with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was the biggest. So, me and Gary got it on, you know what I'm saying? It was good sparring. You know, that day, yes, I might have got out on Gary. You know what I'm saying? But he good work all the time, though. But we was good fighters, man. I'm sharp. That motherfucking name is too sharp. I was sharp than a motherfucker. That's Gary, my boy, and Terence Crawford, my boy. So, Terence get in the ring sparring with Dynamite. Terence fight 132. Dynamite fight 141. Man, Dynamite, one of the sharpest amateurs I'd ever seen, though. So, Dynamite, you know, he's sharp that day. He getting out on Terence, you know what I'm saying? So, they still had good work, though. He got out on Terence, but they still had great work. So, they get out the ring, and then, you know, Terence he a little frustrated after the spar, you know what I'm saying? So, they got a little, him and Dynamite was talking noise all through the spar. So, when Terence got out, he was mad already. He was talking shit still. And then Gary said something to Terence. And then Terence was like, nigga, what you talking about? Nigga, Mark just beat your ass. So then they get to arguing and shit. They face to face, they get to arguing. Gary took off on Terence and hit him with a right hook. Terence ate the bitch. You feel me? He ain't dropped Terence or nothing. And then they couldn't fight because right after Gary took off on him, the coaches and everybody grabbed Terence and grabbed Gary. You know what I'm saying? But long story short, man, Gary Russell, you better not get your motherfucking ass in the ring with Terence. He gonna damn have kill your motherfucking ass, boy. You motherfucking Gary, your motherfucking ass. You gotta go fight Gervonta Davis. You got to go get that money. And Terence, you got to go fight Earl Spence. Y'all 3 weight classes from each other talking about fighting each other, man. Y'all niggas rich than a motherfucker. And for real, if that little argument wouldn't have happened in Colorado Springs that day after y'all sparred, then y'all still be cool. So y'all need to let that shit go, man. Y'all need to let that shit go, bruh. For real.
The Gary Russell with Terence Crawford altercation. It was the Pan Am camp, 2007. We just made the Pan Am team. And it was the first camp we had before we were going to Brazil. And what happened was me and Bud was sharing a room. And the first day of sparring is always the hardest. So I just wanted to cruise through it. So I wasn't really doing too much. So long story short, we sparred. It was competitive or whatever. My sparring are always competitive, you know, especially with elite athletes. All our sparring are going to be competitive. So long story short, you know, I heard that Bud had called his coaches or whatever and told them that I was easy work or whatever. I heard it through the grapevine, you know. So long story short, I asked G. I'm like, G, did you hear that? He was like, yeah, I heard the same thing. So I'm like, all right, I said, I'm going to turn it up on him. Next time we spar, I'm going to turn it up. So the next time we sparred was like 2 days later. So me and Bud sharing a room. So we in a room about to go to sparring. So we talking shit to each other, you know, competitiveness with each other. We talking shit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to turn it up on you today. We get in the ring, we boxing. But it got so heated. Like, in between rounds, we weren't even going to our corners for sparring. We weren't even going to our corners, listening to the coaches. So once the coaches got whiff on it, you know, they was like, yo, these dudes is really fighting. So we in the ring going back and forth. I'm swimming without getting wet. You know what I mean? Talking shit. And Coach Dan seen how serious we were with each other. And he just basically like, yo, stop. That's it. They stopped the sparring session. You know, we wasn't doing computer scoring. That sparring session. You feel me? But they stopped it because we were too, like, serious with each other. So when they stopped it, you know, Bud got out the ring. I'm still in the ring. And he walking over there to where everybody at, where the rest of the team at. So I'm on the tip like, man, fuck out of here, nigga. Ain't want nobody running. He was like, kept saying I was running. I'm like, ain't nobody running, nigga. I'm swimming without getting wet. That's what it's called, hit and not get hit. You know what I mean? I said, nigga, your defense is basically going to keep you around. So he over there talking to G. So I turn back around. I get out the ring on the other side of the gym. I'm getting my gloves taken off. And I hear them going back and forth. And I hear Bud say, yeah, Mark Davis was, you know what I mean, be getting in your ass. You know, and then Nuke, Rasheed Warren was there. He was like, oh, hey, Bud, come on. Don't put Mark in it. That's between y'all. Whatever. And then, like, a couple seconds later, all I hear is, oh. I turn around, and, like, they holding motherfucking, they trying to grab Terence or whatever because he trying to get loose or whatever because apparently he just got sucker punched. So I didn't actually see it, you feel me? But I heard everybody say, oh, and I turned around. You know, it was basically a big altercation, everybody breaking things up and shit. I didn't actually see the sucker punch, you know. But before the camp, when we was at the qualifiers, Terence had got into an altercation with one of the guys from Puerto Rico, and they was fighting they were fighting in the stands. And they told Bud, yo, if you get in trouble again, they're gonna kick him. They're gonna send him home. So that incident happened, and they wound up. The coaches had a meeting, and they wound up sending him home. You know, but that's the part of the story that I remember. You know, I wasn't. It wasn't the Olympic camp because Deontay Wilder was never. I don't remember seeing Deontay Wilder when we were amateur. You know, I don't remember seeing Deontay Wilder. I definitely was never in camp with him. But the sucker punch did happen.
All right, man. You guys seen the two eyewitnesses that Gary Russell and Terence Crawford called to see actually what happened. It was Mark Davis, who was an SMS fighter with 50 Cent, and I think he got knocked out on 50 Cent birthday bash or something like that. And also you had Karl Dargan from Philly. Philly, he used to be, I think, married to Lil Mo, the singer. I mean, I remember some of the people my age remember Lil Mo, and I think they moved on. But Dargan's was a really good amateur out of Philly. Professional career, and really went where he wanted to go. He hasn't fought since 2018. But let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. And if you go to Gary Russell's Instagram channel or page, he reflects on or reacts to what both of them saying, and he goes in to talking about what Mark Davis said. It was competitive sparring every day, and he was like, no, hell no, shawty, I knocking everything out over there. I was knocking wasn't nothing. He was like real bothered because they didn't back his story up with exactly what happened. And I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Gary Russell was like Crawford said, he was the guy on the amateur team. He didn't medal because he got sick, I believe. But at the end of the day, a story is a story. He called on some people. Some people came out and spoke about what happened. They was respectful. You sucker punched the dude. It is what it is. It ain't like he was minding his business, hitting the bag. You just came up and blew his shit out. Crawford was talking reckless and didn't think Gary Russell was gonna pull the trigger. And everything Gary Russell told, Frederica in that hotel room, he was talking about, he'll punch Floyd. He about it. You know what I'm saying? Gary said he ain't about all that talking. He'll punch you, and, is backing up his story as far as, he'll let them hands go. You know what I'm saying? In the ring or out the ring. But at the same time, he going around making it seem like
he blew this dude junk out and they was, fighting and it was a fair fight. Nah, what everybody's saying is you caught him off guard. You know what I'm saying? But the Olympics is the Olympics. Look at the guys who we talking about in the Olympics. There's no disrespect. Karl Dargan ain't really done much, in his professional career. Mark Davis, he got stretched with 50 Cent. He still got a nice record. No disrespect to bro. Rasheed Warren, he still ain't lived up to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Solid fighter, but can't break an egg. And no offense to him again. But a lot of these amateurs, Demetrius Andrade, I feel should be the best fighter going today. And he's in the running for the Canelo fight like I talked about last night because Callum Smith don't want to step off his money, but the zone don't want to improve Demetrius Andrade. So take that fight you want to take it with. He made some bad, decisions as far as the business-wise. And I told you the boxing politics can beat you down. You could talk about a lot of these dudes, the amateurs that they bring up. And they really haven't done much. They said Axedam Ali, he touched the world championship twice, but he just got stretched behind me and we ain't heard from him since. So he's a good fighter, but just because you was this fantastic amateur fighter, it doesn't mean that you gonna go on to be a great professional fighter. There's a lot of dudes who didn't really have an amateur career that went on to be solid. So, one thing that I do notice that Gary Russell and Kenny Porter do, they live off the amateurs. The amateurs is the amateurs. We professional. We 8 ounces, no headgear, and they both his Kenny Porter Sunshine is a good pro, and Gary is a phenomenal pro. But once again, Gary is facing the same situation that Demetrius Andrade is facing. Is that it's politics. Politics and the business side is beating their ass. If it was the amateurs, the great thing about it is you got to fight who you gonna fight, and regardless, ain't no picking, ain't no choosing. You line them up, you fight them, and we'll see what happened. But also, Gary Russell left off some details about what actually happened. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of lied. He said that maybe it was a recollection issue, or he couldn't remember. But he said that they was on the point system, and that Karl Dargan's 20 blew out 21. I just say 21 because we play Madden. He blew out Karl Dargan's, and Dargan said that wasn't true. He said just the sparring got too heated because Bud was saying he was easy work, and he was fighting at 32 Bud, and Dargan's fighting at 41. He said it was easy work, and Dargan's made a point to outbox Bud that day and beat him up. And he said it got to the point where, the sparring got too heated. They weren't going to the corners. They weren't listening. They killed the sparring. According to Gary Russell, it was like they was on the point system preparing for the amateurs, and that Dargan's had, basically created a 20-point separation. And when you create a 20-point separation, they stopped the sparring. Dargan said there wasn't no computer system going then. You know what I'm saying? He said it just got too heated and they wasn't listening, and they was roommates too. So he said they was in Colorado Springs, it got too heated. They stopped the sparring. So that's one lie that Gary Russell told. And then he said basically they get out the ring. Gary Russell basically said Crawford started talking crazy to him, saying that he was running this, that, and he just popped him. You know what I'm saying? But what actually happened, he, basically they went over there, and, Crawford, that's what happened. He was saying he ran. And Gary basically said, oh, he's hit, don't get hit. So, it is what it is. And Terence said, Mark Davis was beating your ass that day. Rasheed said, don't bring Mark into us between y'all two. Before you know it, according to Terence, he had, tried to get the coaches to throw them in the ring and spar him and Gary Russell, and Gary popped him. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, everybody said the same thing. They got in front of Crawford and grabbed him, got in front of Gary and grabbed him. Now, what they didn't say is why they threw Crawford home. Karl Dargan explained why Crawford went to the crib. And one of the reasons Crawford went to the crib is because apparently he got into a fight in the stands with a Puerto Rican guy at one of the competitions. And the coaches said if he get one more incident, he was going to be sent home. And pretty much that's what happened. He was just got into one more incident. It wasn't that they favored Gary over him. And also some rumors that he was hiding in the bushes waiting for Gary Russell. And they're ready to get his get back. But they sent him home not because he was rushing and he was going to beat the hell out of Gary Russell, because he got into one too many incidents. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Gary Russell got on his Instagram Live and was mad what a few of the dudes said and then back his story up. But when two people come out saying it's consistent, it's consistent. But at the end of the day, like Mark Davis said, you get your ring he get his ass in the ring with Bud, which they would never sanction that anyway. You know what's gonna happen. It's conventional wisdom. So, Gary's just a dude that's in the bad place. He with Al Heyman, the money man. The guy's supposed to get him all the fights, and he ain't got him none of the fights. since he took on Lomachenko. So I think it's some frustration there. You know, anytime you see a dude like that, solid, 100, and now he doing desperate things as far as getting on social media and doing these interviews, it's something that Gary Russell don't do. Gary, 32 years old, he see his career slipping away. He see those big fights slipping away. He see his prime slipping away. And also, his younger brothers ain't getting treated how they should get treated for whatever reason. Al treating them like that. So he doing what he got to do to create a buzz and a name for himself. It's nothing different than what Ali did and what Floyd did for the most part. So I hope he get the fights that he's looking to get, and I hope he capitalize and win on them. Gary and Bud, two of my guys. So I hate to see them go at it like this, man. But hopefully bygones can be bygones. They can bury the hatchet and we can move on. But you already know, Chihuahua versus Pitbull in that fight. I don't want to see it, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think about the video. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out if you got business, question, call, response, video request. Keep sharing the videos. Appreciate the love, support. Want to make a donation, Cash App, PayPal description. Check out our boxing news playlist for more videos like this. One time for one time, we gone.